My name is Mike Dabrowski, and I want to show you my solar survival trailer. It's a work in progress, but let's see what we can do right now at the condition it's in, and let me show you what it can do. So now let's get a look at how this thing works. So basically you've got two solar cells. This takes care of the up and down motion. Two solar cells here takes care of the left and right motion. The dish is hanging from a assembly that lets me adjust the height and position accurately. This is a burning lens for doing wood burning, and this is a giant Fresnel lens that can do some serious melting of metals and stone and whatever. So I'm going to turn the tracking system on right now. Now let's go take a look at how that works. So basically this is the control box, and on it we have controls that let us do whatever we need to do, and we'll see them as we use them. Inside you basically have a solar panel which generates electricity, goes through the charge controller which regulates the electricity as it's going into the battery. You got two batteries over there, provide a 24 volt power supply. This is a 600 watt 24 volt to 120 volt inverter. And then this final board with the electronics around it is my homemade tracking system, and we can talk about that later. There's probably another video, but for now that's what's doing the controls. Now everything is on, ready to go. So let's go back over to the solar tracking controller, and we'll see we have a switch here that can be manual, which means I can get this thing to move on its own. Let me get it so it's kind of in an approximate direction. Now the trailer is moving under its own power using that wheel, which you can't see very well. Oops, let me get this out of the way. So let me turn on the actual tracker now. So now it's tracking in both planes, horizontal and vertical, and it's going to move until it finds the sun. So now let's look at the Fresnel lens that's hanging off of one side, the small one. Fresnel lens is basically a very thin lens that is made up of circular sections of triangular shapes, each one slightly more, bending the light more than the one before it. So you end up with the equivalent of a lens. So if we look at this piece of wood in the focal point, you can see how you get a pretty instant fire. Let's get to a fresh piece here. And if any of you as a kid used to chase bugs with magnifying glasses, that's kind of what this is. Although this is a little bit of a big one compared to what we used to use when we were kids. And since I was so fascinated by that, I says, I wonder what would happen if we got a really big Fresnel lens. And by watching some of the videos on YouTube and wanting to get a replacement for my big projection TV, I came up with this giant, basically it's a 60-inch screen, diagonal. And with this we can do some pretty amazing things. So let me set that up and then we'll get the camera going again. Because of the intense heat, I can lower the shade here, which basically blocks the sun and lets you walk behind there without burning yourself. Of course, while we have electric being produced, we can do things like run a small refrigerator, use the fan, keep us cool, a little air compressor over there to pump the tires up. Many things you can do with electric, even if it's only 600 watts. So the magic behind the tracking system is this wheel. Now this wheel is powered by a motor, and it's on a swivel. So if we stand back a little bit, you'll see how it's really able to swing sideways. So if I want to move this trailer around, I just simply push this little button over here, joystick, and I can make it go forwards and backwards manually. or if it's turned into the active tracking system, it also tracks the sun horizontally. So let me get it out of sync and we'll watch it come back in. Okay, so let's start our experimenting by putting a gallon of water in this pan. It fills it about halfway full. Put this cover on. Now let's bring it over to the tender. Okay. And there it is, in sync. We can also steer it around slightly by adjusting the position. By doing that, we disrupt the operation, and we'll get into how that works later. Let's see how our hot water is doing. So right now, the sun is hitting the bottom of the pan, but we haven't focused it to get the highest possible temperature. So I'm going to go to the focus side, and we'll take a picture of that happening. Okay, so here we are. We're up to 95 degrees, and we're at 4 minutes. So while this is doing this, we'll keep checking back on it, but let's set up the big Fresnel lens and see how that works. Okay, we're at 109, 10 minutes into it. And this water will easily boil, and you can make soup, you can make canned tomatoes, anything where boiling water is involved. You could distill water, you could make soups, pretty much pretty flexible cooking pot. Okay, at 23 minutes, we're at 161 degrees, well on our way to boiling. Okay, the water is boiling very vigorously. So obviously it'd be difficult for somebody to go grab that thing and take it off of there now. So this is where the manual controls come in. If we go behind here, and let me focus here. We got this switch that takes it out of active tracking, puts it into stop, or puts it into load. So by turning these dials, we can make the dish rotate so the sun isn't there anymore, and also get the pot in a more easy to grab position closer to the ground. And once we got it safely aimed away from the sun, you just stop it, put it in the pause position, and then we go grab the pot with welding gloves. Our next cooking implement is the little solar hibachi. So here's a temperature control. The cover is insulated with aerogel. The truck to go by. It's insulated with aerogel insulation, and it's got a standard grill. And in here, this is the magic that makes it work, is the solar receiver, which is a graphite disc that heats up to 700 or 800 degrees. And this sits in the bottom. Put the grill on top of it. And just like we preheat an oven, we can put this into the dish, which has a separate holder for its two attachment points here. And let's put it in there and take a picture of what it looks like in place, and then get it warming up. Well, we're warming up our little pot. It's already up to 200 degrees. And we'll see if we can cook some food. We'll dig in through the refrigerator to see what we've got. Grill up to 500 degrees. We're ready to stop anytime. So here we have some hamburger, chicken, and hot dogs. I'm going to see if I can cook them all at the same time on the grill. And that's why this is not a safe thing to be playing with. That was surprising. What we've done now is we've made it so that the light shines from here, reflects off of here, comes up. It's very hot. Looks like it's cooking pretty good to me. I'm going to turn it over. I can look down here and see where the spot is. So you get the hottest spot. What? I can't hear you. Looks done. Looks like the hamburgers are cooked nicely all the way through. Hot dogs, of course, are probably cooked when you get them. So we got the thermometer to make sure that we're cooked enough. That's the chicken internal temperature right now. So it's almost cooked, but let's, I want to make it well done just to be sure. Now we're going to move it back to a position where we can leave it for the night. Now the manual controls here allow me to position it exactly and then stop it any place. Now the sun comes up over there, so it should be ready for tomorrow morning.